Now, I just want to say one thing as I start the debate. Most unfortunately, there were some PMO officials who said, as we put out the story today, they said you're getting ahead of yourself. This was the language which was used, which I don't think was appropriate. But in any case, to prove the fact that we are not getting ahead of ourselves, and for those PMO officials who I will not name, who said that you are getting ahead of yourself by putting the story, I asked them, have you read the Cabinet Committee on Security note? Because I don't think they've read the note and they're getting ahead of themselves. This note says very clearly, and the last line says, we are not drawing this inference. This note says, 4.7, it is proposed to sign the preliminary contract prior to the visit of the Prime Minister to the USA in end September. Given the paucity of time, approval of the Atomic Energy Commission cannot be sought. Instead, approval of the CCS is solicited directly. This inference that this is being pushed through to link it to the Prime Minister's visit is on note of a Cabinet Committee on Security note. And therefore, for those PMO officials who I will not name once again, who said we were getting ahead of ourselves, I think they're getting ahead of themselves. That's just on record. And I'm not revealing the name here tonight. Now, on the Newshour Debate this evening, Sanjay Jha of the Congress Party, Nirmala Sitharaman of the BJP, Kumar Ketkar making a comeback on the Newshour tonight after a long time. Welcome back. G. Balachandran. He's completely pro the nuclear deal, but I'm sure he'll find fault with the process being followed tonight. D. Raja and TSR Subramaniam are also with us today. D. Raja is sitting there with Dr. A. Gopalakrishnan in our studios in Tiruvananthapuram. G. Sondarajan is an environmentalist and anti-nuke activist. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, TSR Subramaniam, to you first. Who's getting ahead of themselves in your view?
Well, Arnab, it's ironic that this week we heard that the Fukushima tragedy has been highly underestimated. Its effect will be there for 20 more years. And Japan is closing all its reactors. And the same week we are hearing the news that we are in great hurry. We have consistently held the view that we should have an independent regulator.
Absolutely.
Even the dependent regulator is being bypassed. And thirdly, we heard today the rep of Westinghouse today on TV. I don't know on your channel or some other channel. He was quite clear. He says, to hell with your law.
Yeah.
We are a private company. We cannot bind ourselves to any kind of liability. I don't know why we are going. I don't know why if this is the condition, why are we committing contempt of our law? Why are we committing contempt of our parliament? And one last point. Why this great hurry for gifts? I remember long back when our Nawabs used to go and meet the emperor, Badshah.
Yeah.
They would take huge gifts in their hand.
With them, yeah.
Last week, G20 in Petersburg. Most people in India don't know. We have surrendered a huge position on fluorocarbons, on HFCs. 6 ministries in Delhi have opposed it. Our Prime Minister and Montek have gone and signed it. So this is the second gift. How many gifts are we going to give?
Well, I don't.
What is happening?
I don't know. And when we question why procedure, why procedure has not been followed, we are told media gets it wrong, you have got ahead of yourself. I take offense to that kind of presumptuous arrogance that I have seen on display tonight from some officials in the Prime Minister's office. Now, Mr. Balachandran is consulting fellow at the IDSA. Mr. Balachandran, why circumvent the Atomic Energy Commission unless you have some ulterior motive? What is the ulterior motive that is guiding such haste and such an unnatural rush in your view?
Look, I'm totally confused. Does any one of the other panelists think that if this proposition has been put to the Atomic Energy Commission, which has one current secretary of DAE, 3 ex-DAE, Mr. Shiv Shankar Menon, who was the foreign secretary, the current foreign secretary, they are going to say, please do not sign it.
Is that the point?
Would any of the panelists tell me No, wait a minute. So don't say bypassing is as if
No.
you've got an atomic energy commission.
Mr. Balachandran, Mr. Balachandran, no, Mr. Balachandran, 1 minute.
No, there's no point in talking.
I can
There's
ask
no
you a
point in
counter
talking
question.
if you want to talk.
Can I ask you a counter question? You are the expert. Let me ask you something.
Please ask me a question.
I'm asking
Don't
you a
make
question.
a statement. Ask
I'm
me
not making a
question. Ask me
statement. I'm
question.
asking you a question.
Ask.
Sir, you're a senior man. I'm not being presumptuous with you. I'm not the PMO. I'm only asking you a question.
Okay. Okay, do that.
I'm asking you tonight, sir. You give me proof. You give me proof, Mr. Balachandran, that the viability test on the project has been done, and I will say I'm wrong and you're right. As far as I know, the viability is not done, sir. And we are being told viability will be done after post facto. Why? What kind of procedure is that? Why was such a procedure invented?
Do you want me to answer you, or you want to keep on talking?
Answer me, sir, and then we'll get the others.
Wait. The viability of a nuclear reactor is not under question. The economics of the viability of the nuclear plant can be done only after a deal has been signed.
What are you
saying? The price has been negotiated. Wait. Look, do you want me to answer, or do you want to keep on talking? Now, does any one of the panelists say that without knowing what is the cost of the reactor, they will be able to do a viability test? Mr. Gopal, ask him.
What are you saying, sir?
Sir, what are you taking viability test?
Sir, the viability, the complete viability analysis
Viability
of the project has not been done. Mr. Gopalakrishnan doesn't agree with you. He's raised his hand. I'm going across to Thiruvananthapuram to Mr. Gopalakrishnan.
Tell me,
Mr. Gopalakrishnan.
Tell me what viability analysis?
Sir,
viability analysis?
Sir, the complete viability analysis of the project which has not been done and which is now being rushed through. Mr. Gopalakrishnan is responding to you. Come on, sir. Mr. Gopalakrishnan. Dr. Gopalakrishnan, sorry.
Mr. Balachandran, please listen. Viability can be done. It doesn't have to be done after negotiations, etc. That's not correct. You know, I have in my hand last 10 AP 1000 at what price they have offered it and what was negotiated price at the end of it. So the information of that kind is available in the literature. And this is recent, 2010-11 numbers I'm saying. And so our number may be slightly different, but it is not going to be drastically different. In my opinion, the question, the viability question also is this relatively a safe enough reactor for us? Is this relatively environmentally acceptable reactor?
We don't know.
All these are also part of the these are all also part of viability question. Plus,
no, Mr. Balachandran doesn't think so. Mr. Balachandran doesn't think so. He thinks it's only economic.
Go there and sign.
Mr. Balachandran doesn't think so. He thinks it's only economic. He doesn't think it's got to do anything with safety.
Look,
I'll tell you. Let me add one more thing. How we are going to construct.
Don't say, well, you know what I think. I know what I think. I know what you think.
I heard what you said.
Let's not talk about what the other thinks.
But I heard what you said, sir. I heard what you said. You said the viability is only an economic viability. But Dr. Balachandran,
no.
Dr. Balachandran, that's.
I asked you what viability.
I am telling you that in my limited understanding, when you test viability, you are testing whether it's going to be safe from the human demographic, population and environmental point of view, which is why I say that the Prime Minister cannot sign off on something and then say, let's get the viability done post facto. So it's not done. Let's get another perspective on this. Let's get Kumar Ketkaran. Is this a sellout?
I don't think it is a sellout.
You don't think it's a sellout?
I don't think it is a sellout.
Sorry.
In atomic energy establishment and in nuclear establishment in India, there have always been two or more than two groups, and some were opposed to the Indo-US deal itself. And some were also opposed to the Jaitapur project. I am not taking on that side. But the point is, Atomic Energy Commission itself is divided. There is an internecine war that is going on in
Who cares about that? Who cares about that?
That's why there is.
Who cares? Is that the issue here? Is that the issue here?
That is what brings the issue to the surface.
That's not the issue here. How is it? What are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
Viability cost is
what are you suggesting that interested parties have given us this note? Are you suggesting that, Mr. Kumar
Ketkar? I'm not interested in knowing whether the interested parties gave you the note or not. But the question is whether it is illegal, immoral, illegitimate. It is not.
You're making it illegitimate to ask questions about it.
You can definitely take your position to the United States and discuss it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Gopalakrishnan.
Mr. Kedkar, I think now I think the point is, for this huge amount of money, tremendous amount of capital expenditure that we incur, we have alternate means of getting power, not necessarily from Westinghouse reactors. We can also think in terms of, if you are so enamored with nuclear today, you can even think in terms of our PHWRs. It will buy much more power. So I think the viability question would mean not unilaterally just looking at the economics of this, but for this amount of taxpayer money, is it possible today in the time of money crunch, should we be spending this? And one has to make a justifiable case. And it is the Nuclear Power Corporation's responsibility to prepare such a report, making a case for
Let's
this,
get everyone in.
and then put it up
Let's
to
get Nirmala Sitharaman in. No, let's get everyone in. Let's get.
But this debate, Arnab, has been going on ever since Indo-US.
That's not the point.
It has nothing to do with the cabinet committee.
But you are not
It
understanding.
has nothing to do with this new revelation.
Mr. Ketkar, the new revelation.
There's no new revelation. It's a continuation
absolutely
of the same debate.
wrong.
It's a continuation of the same debate. Continuation of the same opposition. Continuation of the same resistance.
With the utmost of respect to you, Mr. Kumar Ketkar, you are completely wrong.
This is no ideological opposition. This is based on facts.
D. Raja, let's get the politicians into the panel. D. Raja, those, what do you think comes out as a fact out of this Cabinet Committee on Security note? What is it that you infer from it?
My point is that government is not honest and straightforward on the entire nuclear policy issue. It is our experience. Left parties were supporting the UPA 1 government, and the entire nuclear deal was discussed in number of meetings. Finally, the government said, allow the government to go to International Atomic Energy Commission as member of that body, but we will not commit anything, we will come back, and if there is opposition, we will not sign any deal. But before any meeting, when we were in the midst of discussion, Prime Minister on his way to Tokyo announced that government would sign 1, 2, 3 agreement. We found it was so dishonest on the part of government, and it was a breach of trust on the part of government. That is why the left parties had to withdraw on that crucial issue. And now there is a cabinet note, it is in public domain, and there is no liability assessment, it is all known to everybody, but government is willing to amend the Civilian Liability Act and dilute certain provisions in order to please the US administration.
Why do they want to please America? What is this eagerness? What is this eagerness to please America all about, Sanjay Jha? Let's get you in before we get Nirmala Sitharaman. Let's get a fact right. You are so eager to please America. This report, this cabinet note I have, acknowledges that a viability analysis for a nuclear project has not been completed. So what does that mean? The basic criteria has not been fulfilled. Then on what basis is the Cabinet Committee on Security going to evaluate the project? Your basic scientific criteria has not been fulfilled. That means only on the basis of the fact that the Prime Minister of India wants to make Uncle Sam happy.
That's inference.
Well, of course not. That's not inference. That's not deductive. It's the only fact, and it's written out here. 1 second. Tell me, Sanjay Jha, how ethical is it for your Prime Minister and our Prime Minister to go and get a sign-off on a deal which does not have a viability test done? That also in a post-Fukushima world.
No, we either discuss ethics, energy or economics.
We are discussing everything.
Cannot mix up ethics, energy and economics all in one.
This situation has got everything mixed up. Sanjay Jha, why this eagerness to please America?
Well, let me answer your question, Arnab. Just give me a couple of minutes. Point number one, I think I was reading a lot of reports earlier in the day that the Prime Minister and the Indian government is actually trying to attract US capital into India, and therefore we might want to sign a deal which might be a soft sell, which is so ridiculous, because the truth is that the rupee has gone up.
Answer my question. Answer my question. I'm not talking about any of those reports. So why aren't you answering my question?
You see, India does not need to
you are answering your own question.
There are market forces at work.
1 second. Sanjay, this is a wonderful situation.
FDI investments into India are concerned.
Sanjay Jha, 1 minute, please, 1 minute.
Let me answer your question.
No. First of all, let's get one thing straight. Sanjay Jha, I ask you a question. Please answer my question. What you do is, you basically say, before I answer your question, I will answer my own question. You proceed to ask the question and you answer your own question. I am asking you a simple question. Does your cabinet committee of security have a single iota of information on the viability of the project? Does it have any information on the viability of the project?
Give me a minute. Arnav, I can only answer your question if you allow me to. So let me make one pertinent point before we move on. Somebody said earlier in your panel, I don't know who that gentleman is, something about, this is not an ideological opposition.
No, but you're again not answering my question. I proceed to ask my question a third time. Does the Cabinet Committee on Security have information regarding the viability of the project?
Mr. Raja and the BJP voted against the bill. This is why
again you are answering your own question.
Of the arguments against what is being discussed today.
This is 2013, Sanjay Jha. It's not 2005.
Now, let me answer your question.
Please answer the question.
Have you, Arnav, read today the press release issued out by the Department of Atomic Energy? That answers your question.
Which answers nothing.
2 points that I would like to
Okay, no, which answers nothing. I am asking.
No,
one second. Does the press release of the Department of Atomic Energy, 1 minute. Does the press release of the Department of Atomic Energy?
It addresses the question.
Does the press release of don't tell me what question it addresses. Does the press release of the Department of Atomic Energy make a single reference to the Cabinet Committee on Security note and the fact that viability has not been got for a project for which approval is sought from the CCS? If there is, then I challenge you on live television tonight. Show me where. Show me where right now where that reference is.
Please don't interrupt me.
No, but you show me where the reference is.
Let me tell you, have you read the last... Arnav, you're drowning me out. The Department of Atomic Energy press release says that the discussions were all about pre-project services. We are not talking about any deal between the Indian government
you are so
and the
wrong.
nuclear power corporation with Westinghouse. These are pre-project services. We are possibly talking about techno-commercial feasibility projects that have not even started. So currently, whenever a government is going to engage with a large multinational company that deals with nuclear reactors, you don't just say, I'm going to do
rubbish. That's complete rubbish. Because I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why.
You rightly mentioned yourself.
No, that's complete wrong.
Environmental, safety, all the other considerations.
Okay, now let me ask.
And the Department of Atomic Energy press release says there will be no compromise done with any of the laws enacted in Indian Parliament.
And what is your definition of no compromise?
It also repeats
do you want to listen?
1 minute. No, 1 minute, which means that the law will be adhered to which has been passed in Indian Parliament. And thirdly, it also says
you are not
that
passing
for any project will be given or received by the Atomic Energy Commission and the Government of India. So I think you cannot get more categorical and explicit than that, Arnav.
Mr. Sanjay Jha. Mr. Sanjay Jha, let me tell you, you have been wrong on about 10 fronts there. But before I come to you, let me get Nirmala Sitharaman.
Well, I mentioned 3. I can't be wrong in 10.
Well, you are wrong on all the 10 fronts which you made. To your own question, because it appears to me you have not had the pleasure of seeing the Cabinet Committee on Security note, which says clearly, and I quote once again, given the paucity of time,
you need to respond to what are the facts on the table at this hour.
Mr. Sanjay Jha, have you seen the Cabinet Committee on Security note?
Can I ask you?
Have you seen the Cabinet Committee on Security note?
You don't.
No, 1 second.
Because you are possibly commenting on a Cabinet Committee report which may have nothing to do with the US, but negotiations with partners in Russia and France.
Mr. Jha, again you are wrong.
To do with any particular
Mr. Jha, you are wrong.
General clarifications.
Mr. Jha, how many times will you be factually wrong? Correct yourself and control yourself. You are referring to the liability report. That has got to do with France and Russia. I am talking about the Cabinet Committee on Security report, which you have not seen, which is related to Westinghouse in America, which you have not seen.
It is about
so you are going by partial dollops of information given to you by someone who has not given you complete information. So Sanjay Jha, you're factually completely proven wrong tonight. The fact is, this note, have you seen the note? Answer my question. Have you seen the note?
Yes, I have.
And what
Yes,
does
I have.
what
I
does
don't have it in front of me right now. I have.
I'm sure you have.
Let me also tell you.
I'm sure you have. You watch Times Now.
You should read the latest statement made. You should read the latest statement made by Mr. Donaldson as well, who was relevant, who was part of the government
Mr.
team that signed the nuclear deal. Now let me tell you.
Mr. Jha, let's get the others in. You are not. It's clear to me. It's clear to me that you are completely unaware about what the government is doing to Section 17 of the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act. I'll come to that later. Nirmala Sitharaman, why the chairing hurry? Nirmala Sitharaman, BJP, why the chairing hurry?
You are making an inference.
Why the chairing hurry? Nirmala Sitharaman, give time to the BJP, Sanjay Jha. The Congress can't take all the time.
So you have no reason to challenge them at all. 1 minute, the government of India has said that it is not amending the law at all.
Mr. Jha, I'll just tell you one thing. If you keep speaking, it doesn't.
Yours, madam.
Just answer the basic question and let's get the BJP in. Because I have asked you a question. See, what is now happening is, Mr. Jha, I ask you a question 6 times. And 6 times you don't answer the question. I'm afraid I'm going to have to move on. Nirmala Sitharaman, why is the Prime Minister in a hurry?
I did.
Yes, the Prime Minister seems to be in a hurry, undue hurry, and particularly on 2 major issues related to this act which has been passed in the Parliament. One is on the viability and the other one is on the liability issue. Section 17B, I think every political party during 2010 worked very hard to get it on board and then get the bill passed. Now I would expect, and anybody in this country would expect, that the government would in letter and spirit follow it. But if there is a dilution because the way in which the rules which are being laid out to implement this act is itself going to dilute that Section 17B, and from the Attorney General, the kind of input which has come out in the public domain also, if the step towards taking recourse is being denied or left to the option of the operator, it defeats the entire purpose of having spent that much of time in bringing in 17B, so that the operator's liability, those who are supplying material, their liability, are all going to be lost out if we are not firm on keeping in line with the act which was passed. Suppose through the rules that are being followed, framed for this purpose, you are diluting it and reducing the operators or service providers or even the transporters' liability. It is going to come back to a situation where, unfortunately, if you have a situation somewhat repetitive of Bhopal gas tragedy, God forbid, but if it happens, you will have the Indian taxpayer paying the victims and the relief will be provided with our own money. But actually, you will be like in Anderson's case, letting go the operator or the supplier or even the service provider scot-free.
G. Saundarajan, let's
this undue haste.
It is very clear. It is very clear now.
Yeah, Mr. Saundarajan.
It is very clear. It is very clear now that the government wants nuclear Andersons to come to India, test their untested reactors on Indian soil, and if there is an accident, they will put them in a special aircraft and fly them out. Indian lives have become so cheap. We have become so worthless. And in this government does not have any concern for the Indian lives. These shameless people were doing a lot of mud handling on the people of Puducherry. The American NGOs are funding the protest, and they are. No, it's a fact. You have not got the environmental impact assessment done. You have not done the viability analysis done. You have given a go ahead on the liability front. So what more do you want? This is
my dear sir, that's precisely what we are talking about. A pre-project service means trying to do the service. This is not signing the deal.
No. And
I don't think you have understood when you signed.
No, you are confused, Sanjay. Sanjay, you are now confused.
Explain to you. When you sign the
1 second.
do all kinds of stuff.
Don't interrupt him, Sanjay. Just 1 minute. He didn't interrupt you. 1 minute. Yeah. Let him complete his point. Complete your point, Mr. Saundarajan.
Yeah, but give me a chance to respond to Arnab.
Just 1 minute.
No, I'm saying that
the government to come up with a statement.
No.
Arnab, let me just finish my line.
Okay,
please understand, Arnab, 80,000 reactors are nowhere in the world. We are being made lab rats. Our Indian lives are being lab rats. There are 2 places where these 80,000 reactors are being constructed. two places in China and one in Walgati. All these places are inland places. If at all, 80,000 reactors are going to be installed it's the world's
I'm not even on an ideological point.
No EIA has been done. No environmental impact has been done. They have been claiming that Engineers India Limited has done that. EIL is not a capable organization to do the environmental impact. Nothing has been done. Public hearing has not been done.
Mr. Soundarajan, on a limited point tonight, American pressure has worked, is what I infer. In December 2012, the present Foreign Minister of India, Salman Khurshid, said India will not bow down to US pressure on the liability issue. He said the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act has to be interpreted by our courts. Our courts are not subservient to an international organization, and he said we'll not bow down. In July, John Kerry came. In August, there's a secret note. Liability is diluted. In September, the Prime Minister goes to America. Few days before that, the Cabinet Committee on Note, which I now have, says we can't wait, we have to change the law. I asked tonight, who's the Prime Minister of India, John Kerry or Manmohan Singh? And was it not a bound promise that the point now is political, Mr. Raja? Mr. Raja, the Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage Act was passed by Parliament after serious discussion and debate. Section 17 was incorporated, which was safeguards as per the will of the Parliament of India. Now, by changing it, aren't you disrespecting Parliament? Aren't you disrespecting the mandate of all political parties? I mean, as politically speaking, Mr. Raja...
Now, who's changing the law?
1 second. The law is being changed.
I think
I'll prove it to you.
Presumptuous.
Mr. Raja.
Who's changing the law?
Mr. Raja.
Who's changing the law?
You don't know? The law is being amended. 1 minute, Sanjay Jha. I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Definitely. Definitely.
The law cannot be amended unless it goes through Parliament.
Definitely, the civilian liability for...
No,
allow me to speak, Mr. Jha. Allow me to speak, Mr. Jha.
No, let Mr. Raja speak and then I'll come to you. The Attorney General's opinion is that the Attorney General has given that opinion. Yes, go ahead.
Let me speak out. Arnab, you asked me, let me speak out. The Civilian Liability for Nuclear Damage Act is an act of Parliament. Now what government is trying to do is to undermine the act of Parliament and to do things behind the back of Parliament, not taking Parliament into confidence. Some people may think I am taking ideological position. Yes, as left, I have an ideological position. But I am asking today, through you, the Congress party, what is the enlightened national interest about which the Prime Minister goes on speaking? Now the government has become a big suspect because government is not honest and straightforward. Government is not only succumbing to the pressure, it is willingly succumbing to the pressure. There is tremendous pressure from US and French administrations. It is a known fact to the not only to India but to the whole world. But why India is willingly succumbing to that pressure? What is the national interest involved? Let Prime Minister answer, let Prime Minister tell the nation and the people what is the national interest by doing all these things.
You see, what was 17B? Now, I just want to, the point here is I want to just inform our viewers. There was a rule, 1 minute, Sanjay Jha, allow me. Sanjay Jha, 1 minute, let me tell you so that you don't mislead anyone. The point is simply this, that Parliament explicitly wrote into 17B of the law to ensure that foreign nuclear suppliers don't go away scot-free if there is a nuclear accident which is traced back to the equipment or material with patent, defense or substandard devices. In other words, it's there at the bottom of our screen right now. I want to explain it very simply to our viewers. This was written in Parliament, so Parliament and parliamentarians debated and they said if there is an accident tomorrow, the person, the supplier has to be held responsible. Now, what is the change which has happened? For some mysterious reason, which even Sherlock Holmes will not be able to solve, the Prime Minister government decided, let's get the Attorney General's opinion before the Prime Minister goes to America. And the Attorney General says, you know, if the operator chooses not to incorporate such a provision in the contract, he may not do it. In other words, the Attorney General says that the company called NPCIL, which is the government company, may decide not to follow up. So if the government decides to let the American supplier scot-free, then the government can. In my view, that is a repudiation of what was in Parliament. Nirmala Sitharaman, in my view, that opinion of the Attorney General, is dangerous. 1 minute. It's dangerous.
Yes,
Because that opinion, goes against the grain of what was agreed on in Parliament.
Arnab, can I just come in for a minute?
Yes, please do.
Sanjay Jha may be correct in saying, oh, the law is not being amended. Maybe the law is not being amended. But the rules which have to be framed to execute the law are being framed in such a way that the letter and spirit of the act itself is getting diluted. If 17B has to be definitely followed, you can't leave it to the operator, even if the operator is a government-owned operator. NPCL is the Nuclear Power Corporation India Limited, but then they wouldn't have the authority to say you can or you cannot, you may or you may not add 17B into your agreement. How can that be? So the rule is framed in such a way that it may contradict the law itself which has been passed. Ultimately, the rules will have to facilitate the execution of law in true spirit and letter. If
And
the
who
letter and spirit
and
of the
who
law
opposed?
is
Who
getting
wanted
diluted
17B
because
changed?
convenient rules
No.
are being framed,
Who wanted
and
17B
convenient rules are
changed?
being-
No, who wanted
definitely.
17B changed? I place on record.
And-
General Electric wanted 17B changed. The American businessmen wanted 17B changed. They were the ones who said that if the liability law stays the way it is, we will not pursue this business. We cannot take that kind of risk profiles. I'm asking tonight, Mr. Subramaniam, an American company.
Can I speak
1
now?
minute. After Mr. Subramaniam, an American company cannot take that kind of risk.
I'll wait.
But how can the people of India be forced to take that kind of risk? Mr. Subramaniam.
Arnab, if you recall, 17B is under challenge in the Supreme Court right now in appeal.
Yes.
The two conditions of 1500 crore limit and a 5-year limit are absurd and irresponsible, because the damage can go on for 20 years, as we have seen in Fukushima and elsewhere. So it is now, to dilute that, you recall that we pushed through FDI in retail. Conditions were mentioned in the Parliament. Within 3 months, they were diluted. This is the kind of respect being given to the Parliament of the country, which is being treated. Even in dictatorship, this will not happen. So clearly, I saw today the representative of Westinghouse saying, we are not willing to enter if 17B is there.
Yes.
We should make a statement today that 17B is our law. We cannot talk to you without that. Secondly, for the first time, I am hearing I've handled 200 projects of all sorts, that the viability report is to be prepared by the contractor himself, and it will come at the time of final agreement to be signed. These are brand new things I am learning. Somebody said, what has happened new? We already had an absurd situation. We are having 2 more new absurd situations.
No, you see, what's happening here is simple. I just want to explain once again to our viewers. It's very simple. Dear viewers, if you're watching tonight, what are we talking about? When the nuclear deal was passed in 2005, it was said we look at the liability aspect. In 2010, there was a liability law which was passed in Parliament. Now, as per that liability law, there were certain safeguards which were to be got. There were certain compulsions, some responsibilities on these American companies. The law remains, but the application of the law, the law is there, but the rules are being changed, framed to belie the intent of the law, and essentially therefore defeat the purpose. The rules are being framed to belie the intent of the law, which I think in simple English is trying to do something through the back door. So Sanjay Jha and Kumar Ketkar, let's go to Sanjay Jha first, because I said I'll go to him. Your government is angry today and is saying that Times Now is getting ahead of itself because it's upset that this has all been caught red-handed. The Hindu reported about liability, Times Now reported about viability, Times Now put out the Cabinet Committee on Security note, showed that the Atomic Energy Commission is being bypassed. Your government is essentially angry today, Sanjay Jha, because it's been caught red-handed in trying to do something through the back door to please the Americans next week. It boils down to that.
Absolutely not.
Of course.
Emphatically, I emphatically tell you
people
that
will see
it's
through
wrong.
it.
It's inappropriate, whatever allegations you're making. And I'll tell you why. And let's put this in context, because we are having a very sliced debate here. It was the initiative of our UPA government that brought about these very stringent, strict laws on safety, which today the international community says is very unique to India. So credit the UPA government about worrying about the security.
It was passed by Parliament, not the UPA government. Okay, yeah.
Trying to make a lot of brownie points.
Well,
No, 1 second. But let me tell you, we stake the government on this, and we know which members.
No, you are wrong, because when you are wrong. When you are wrong. When Salman Khurshid, I must stand to correct it. When Salman Khurshid was asked that on this whole question of whether India is open to the suggestion that Parliament should take a relook of the law, he said, and I quote, this is in December 2012, he said, you will really be inviting trouble to take it back to Parliament. I think sometimes it is best to let something work without reopening a Pandora's box. This is the quote of your foreign minister, so you stand corrected once again, Sanjay.
Point number 2.
You stand corrected on that.
Point number 2, Arnab, what the historic, let me tell you, the historic, I don't think so, but we'll debate it some other point. It was a historic legislation. It was a historic legislation that end of day, India as a country that had not signed the NBT or the CTBT. And we still managed to
We are not discussing the nuclear deal tonight.
Arnab, 1 minute. We got access to fuel, to technology.
Oh, we are not discussing the nuclear deal tonight, Sanjay. We are talking about backdoor procedures.
These are the positives that have happened. No,
we're talking about doing things to the backdoor.
Energy security.
You're getting a rebut. Let's move on. In this,
I'm answering your second question. I'm answering your second question, Arnab. You need to answer.
Dr. Gopalakrishnan.
You need to accept this.
From Thiruvananthapuram, Dr. Gopalakrishnan.
Nothing is being done which is not being put in the public domain. If you take an opinion from the Attorney General, you're not bound by it.
You're getting a challenge from Thiruvananthapuram.
Since at the moment the government may be negotiating with many nuclear contractors and suppliers, it has got a right to seek an opinion from the Attorney General. It is not bound by it. And you cannot assume that therefore it is something which will be lead to a deal with Westinghouse. No, I think there's been a very presumptuous
Now, 1 second, you must complete, because I won't get the others in. You can make a change, you can seek the opinion, you cannot belie the intent of what was promised in Parliament. Sanjay Jha, you're getting a rebut. First from Nirmala Sitharaman, the political rebut. Yes, Nirmala Sitharaman.
Go ahead.
One.
Yes.
Just let me remind Sanjay Jha, who is in a hurry to take the credit for this whole thing. Mr. Jaitley, who is the leader of the opposition in Rajya Sabha, spent time again with the government in ensuring that this Section 17B will be brought in for ensuring liability which otherwise was not contemplated by this government. If you all remember, if all of us recollect, even that night, overnight, some kind of an amendment was brought in to dilute it, a word "and" was added or deleted. Early morning this was brought to the light of the, all political parties, and after which the government had to go and correct it all over again.
Okay,
so from then itself, it was obvious that they were tinkering it till the last minute. So let us not forget the role of the opposition, which insisted on
second rebut,
and also
Dr. A. Gopalakrishnan from Thiruvananthapuram is rebutting Sanjay Jha now. Dr. Gopalakrishnan.
Forget the role.
Dr. Gopalakrishnan.
Yes, what Mr. Jha said about historic deal, etc., is totally hogwash. I think basically the Prime Minister promised a great deal of things during the debate in the Parliament at various stages, none of which came true. For one major thing is he told the Indian Parliament that through this deal we will get the technologies for enrichment and reprocessing. Both of them finally did not come. Even though right from the beginning, I am quite sure that the Prime Minister was aware that this is not going to come. It was somewhat of a white lie that was said to the Parliament, and later on, now we are in a situation where we can never get them because we are told that unless we sign the NPT, these technologies will not come your way. What did we get? We got some uranium, but later on we found that we have plenty of natural uranium in this country. And what they succeeded in doing is to get a letter from our Prime Minister, which Mr. Shivashankar Menon signed and sent, which promised a minimum of 10,000 megawatt of American reactors to be purchased. And today we are suffering from that act of this Prime Minister, and he is going there to deliver the
and one American company. Who benefits at the end of it? No, Dr. Balachandran, I can see that you're getting restless there as you listen to this debate. Our only question is this, very simply this. Why is all this being done? One American company. To satisfy and please one American company. Now, Salman Khurshid said in December, Mr. Balachandran, he said, we can't change our law. As some global companies begin to invest and do business with us, I'm sure others will fall in line. So he said businesses will fall in line because they want to operate in India. Today, Dr. Balachandran, the government of India falls in line and more than in line just to please one American company. What an irony, isn't it?
Do you want me to answer that or not?
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
No, look, okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you one thing. It is not one country. You, France, we had signed an agreement with Russia. We promised them for Kudagram 3 and 4, which they were ready to ship, that we will give an exemption. We didn't do it. They have not shipped it. So Russia is not signing an agreement for any more reactors with India.
Yeah.
You are talking about France. Wait. France, all talk, hogwash, they have not signed anything. United States has not signed anything. And from what I understand, unless somebody here knows more than me, the Indian industry is not willing to now enter into any long-term contract with NPCIL as well. So with no foreign reactor and no Indian producer of indigenous reactor,
So?
unless one of the panelists starts a company, there won't be any more reactors in India.
Oh, so will
That's all right.
country come to a
Wait,
standstill?
please. Mr. Subramaniam would be very happy because he doesn't like nuclear power at all.
Who? Mr.
So
Subramaniam?
the others, if they say that, please, they're free.
No, Mr. Subramaniam is not making that point. Mr. Subramaniam is making another point. And by the way, Mr. Balachandran, why aren't you concerned about whether if tomorrow, God forbid, if there is a problem, the cost for that will have to be borne by the taxpayer if the supplier is not held liable? I thought that the whole country was told in 2005,
Right.
we will hold... No, 1 minute. The country was told in 2005, the supplier will be held liable. And we believed it. Today you are saying, sorry, they don't want to do business with you. Change the rules. Hold the taxpayer liable. Mr. Subramaniam, I want you to come in.
If
What's
you
your
read
take?
the... Okay.
Arnab, I have only one point to make here. I don't intend starting an atomic energy company. I believe that in India, our current atomic energy is 2% of our energy. 98% we have got the largest coal reserves in the world. 98% comes from other sources. We have the largest amount of
Dr.
sunshine in the
Balachandran
world.
feels-
We can well
Dr.
do
Balachandran
without
feels
the
we'll come to a standstill.
I think we are not, I think only the tail is wagging the dog. We are making much too much. We are doing
Dr.
it
Balachandran,
only for
respond.
the sake of 3 or 4 companies in the world. I don't intend starting. I may start a solar company. I may start a thermal company. I may start a water company. Air.
Would you like to respond,
hydrogen
Dr. Balachandran?
company, but not nuclear company.
Would you like to
All
respond,
the
Dr.
world is going
Balachandran?
away.
But Dr. Balachandran, would you like to respond?
Respond to what? That is not going to start a nuclear... My point is this.
Subramaniam.
Do you think there is a future for Indian nuclear power? That's all I'm asking. Can any of the panelists say that...
He says no.
Yes, if we
No.
get a different government which supports, if you go back to the Baba
can I come in for a
plan
Not on
and
these
Baba's
terms.
line of thinking,
Not on these
there
terms.
is a future for nuclear power.
But
Not on these terms.
The terms are coming only because you are inviting all kinds of foreigners to come and build reactors here.
I just have a more political point now. No, my point is political. You see, what has happened is today, this is what a source told me, and I'm revealing what sources are saying. But Mr. Raja, coming to you, you know what a source said? They said, oh my God, you had to put out this story, so we'll have to call a meeting of the Atomic Energy Commission. And I asked this source, so what do you mean call a meeting of the Atomic Energy Commission to do what? He said, to obviously get the clearance. And I said, what clearance? You don't have a viability report. He said, we'll see, dekhte hain kya karte hain. This is the casual approach My concern, Mr. Kumar Ketkar, is the casual approach with which all of these processes are being followed.
I don't think it is a
it's a fairly casual approach.
No, I don't think it is a casual approach at all. Fundamentally, NPCIL and operator and transporters and others' responsibility has not changed. The relationship has not changed. The clauses remain same.
No, it's
the
changed.
relationships have not changed.
It's changed.
That relationships have changed is your inference.
No, it's not my inference.
That relationships have changed entirely because...
no, it's not my
entirely
inference.
because Prime Minister wants to crawl before American government or American company.
It's not my
inference.
inference.
Also an inference.
It's not an inference.
As Bachandra said, no other country, Russia, France, nobody was ready to sign. No Indian company was ready to come. You have to have a deal pursued. I think it is in continuation. All that has happened is in continuation. The so-called revelation.
No.
And all kind of melodramatic breastbeating about the nuclear power will not...
No, this is not melodramatic breastbeating, and I take objection to your adjectives about this being speculation because...
I'm not saying you are doing it.
No, I'm saying to you...
I'm talking about those who are completely from the beginning opposed to nuclear power are bringing in all these extraneous issues.
Nirmala Sitharaman...
Opposing nuclear power in itself is a different ballgame.
No, one second.
We are today discussing about the cabinet committee's changes and 17B.
We are not
limited. We are only on that limited point.
1 minute, Sanjay Jha, 1 minute. Let me first prove why Kumar Ketkar is wrong. Kumar Ketkar is wrong because why are Kumar Ketkar and Sanjay Jha wrong? Nirmala Sitharaman, you want to come in first? Go ahead. Nirmala Sitharaman, you go ahead. Nirmala Sitharaman.
Yes, please. I think I just want to say this because it is important now that so much of information has come to the public domain. And there are anxieties about nuclear power. We from BJP think that the government will be doing the entire nation a service. And I think they are expected to do it because they are the government of the day, to dispel all the kind of doubts which have come out in the minds of the people. They issue a clear statement as to what exactly have they done. Have they bypassed? Have they removed any checks and balances which are there in the Act? And make sure that they
Nirmala Sitharaman, can you tell me, yes? Between now and when the Prime Minister is in America, is it possible that a viability report will come? Without a viability report, can the Atomic Energy Commission clear anything? No, so obviously, if the Prime Minister makes...
it cannot be done in haste.
So can the Prime Minister...
People will have to be convinced... Arnab, just let me finish this.
Arnab, I need to quickly answer.
People will have to be convinced that the law
surprised and flabbergasted
let her complete.
As to how you are casually dismissing the Department of Atomic Energy press release, which has put things in perspective. I think I am surprised how you are
Sanjay, let her complete.
The content of the note in the press release of the Department of Atomic Energy. I think we should discuss that because that will put everything in a clear and transparent way the discussion goes forward. Because right now we are speculating, which is need not be
Mr. Sanjay Jha,
at all on
Mr. Sanjay Jha, Mr. Jha, you see the government has a very interesting strategy. 1 minute, let me respond to Sanjay Jha once. The government has a very interesting strategy always. When we ask them, it's like saying we ask the government that is it true that on the other side of the road there is a zebra, and the government responds by saying no, on the other side of the road there is no horse. We ask question A, government answers question B, and Sanjay Jha says, look at question B and don't ask the questions which you are asking. I am asking tonight that I want the government of India to tell me whether this Cabinet Committee on Security note is fake or true. If it is true, then the government plans to bypass the Atomic Energy Commission, not have a viability report and go ahead with the project. None of these questions. None of these questions.
But in continuation of the policy, you don't have to refer constantly.
Can I answer
none of these questions. None of these questions. 1 minute, Sanjay. None of these questions have been referred to even once in an alphabet in the statement issued by the Department of Atomic Energy, and the Prime Minister's office knows that. So
it tells you there will be no dilution or violation of any safety standards.
How do you define that?
It tells you that no deal will be approved without Atomic Energy Commission. No, let me tell you. I'll give you a simple example. You buy a car or even a mobile phone. The supplier gives you a guarantee for a period of time if there's a defect. Are we believing in this discussion that a nuclear supplier and a reactor will not have any safety considerations? There are. I think there are other...
No, Mr. Jha, of course not.
It's too facile and elementary here. The government is not giving concession to anybody where safety rules are concerned.
You can't keep asserting, Sanjay, 1 minute. I don't want to I try and outshout you because I can't. But you know, the fact is, you are not understanding what your government is doing. Your Attorney General is a person called Ghulam Vanawati. He has said that it is for the operator of the nuclear plant to decide whether it wishes to exercise the right of recourse provided to it by Section 17. The Nuclear Power Corporation of India, I would like to humbly inform you, Sanjay Jha, is the only body. Is the only body. It is not.
That's his opinion.
My God, please let me complete.
1 minute. When you're doing 1 minute, Arnab, let me answer your question. So, if you're going to sign a commercial deal, you'll need approval or you'll need the feedback from the Ministry of Law and Justice. The Attorney General has given his opinion. It is not binding. It doesn't mean the government is
not binding. Good.
We have already said that the safety considerations will not be diluted or violated at all. Please let me repeat that.
Right there. Now again you are trying to do a U-turn because you're realizing that you've been caught on the wrong foot. Let me complete. Since the NPCIL is a public sector undertaking, effectively the government is saying that the cost of any accident will have to be borne by the taxpayer if the supplier is not held liable. I am asking tonight, why do you want to do this? Nirmala Sitharaman, why do you want to give that leg room to Uncle Sam? If Uncle Sam wants to do business in India, let him do it on our terms or not do business at all on such a strategic issue.
That's right. Whoever wants to do business in India will have to do it in compliance with the law that has been passed in the parliament. Now, if there is an attempt to dilute it, the government should stop immediately and explain to the people, no dilution can be entertained. The law should be followed as was passed. And the BJP therefore here very clearly demands that the government come out clean on it, explain to us what has happened.
But Mr. Raja, but the question is to you and Mr. Raja. Question is to you, Mr. Soundarajan wants to say something. Yes, Mr. Soundarajan. Before I close with Mr. Raja. Yes, Mr. Soundarajan.
You are not allowing me to speak.
Arnab, see, the President of America, Mr. Barack Obama, and the President of Russia, Mr. Putin, are more concerned about their people. And unfortunately, ironically, our Prime Minister is also so concerned about their own people, not our people. And if he is so concerned about the people, he would have done it properly, not diluted the Liability Act, got the permission of the Atomic Energy Commission and followed a process. It is nothing being done here. We are being taken for a ride, and these scot-free people who will do a disaster like Bhopal and run away in a chartered flight, and we will be at the mercy of this looters. If the founding fathers of this nation are alive today, they will head their
I think whoever is talking
because such a people are ruling this country.
But let's not.
I think you are misinformed, Mr. I don't know what your name is.
My last question tonight.
Totally incorrect.
Every time you board a flight, it is possible that a flight may crash.
Please get your facts right.
That doesn't mean that
Mr. Jha,
viability, accident, viability, these are the aspects and the relationship between NCPIL,
I'll tell you broadly.
NCPIL and the suppliers
I'll tell you.
Operators is not changed.
I'll tell you one thing.
Whatever the relation
Mr.
you may
Ketkar,
claim, it has not changed fundamentally the relationship between the NCPIL and...
Mr. Ketkar, you see what has happened is basically this. I think the government is very irritated that we are reading between the lines, going into the details, finding the fault, challenging the facts, getting the secret documents and then having this program. And I think that is the principal reason why, and I have the SMS with me, at 8:15 today a PMO person said, you are getting ahead of yourself. I think that's what's, because we have more information perhaps than that official in the PMO. And I said to the PMO official that I'm not getting ahead of myself, but the facts are there. We have the note, and the note tells the story. Mr. Raja, my question is to you is a political question. That you have fought for certain reservations. Mr. Raja, can I have your attention, please? My question is to you, Mr. Raja. Mr. Raja, if the Prime Minister, despite this, goes ahead and does what
you should allow me, provided then only I can listen to you.
Yeah. So my question to you, Mr. Raja, is that if the Prime Minister, regardless of all this, goes ahead and does what he wants to do in America, what will political parties do? What is the political response going to be?
I speak for left parties. We will oppose and we will strongly oppose. In fact, you have been saying government's approach is casual. I can say it is careless. During the entire debate in Parliament, we raised three major issues. One, public safety. Number two, the supplier's liability. Number three, the economics of nuclear reactor. Government has not given any convincing reply so far. Now this government is succumbing to their pressure in order to just please American administration, to allow some American multinational company to come and do business here. It wants to change the rules or frame the rules in order to allow the suppliers to go scot-free. That is where we are discussing 17B of Liability Act. Now, as left, we want the government, we want the Prime Minister to tell the nation categorically that government will not bypass Parliament. Government will come back to Parliament, whatever it wants to do. Parliament must discuss, Parliament must approve the government's moves. In the behind the back of Parliament, if Mr. Manmohan Singh goes to US and does something, it will be understood as betraying the nation.
Betrayal of the nation. Well, I think that's put very strongly. Will Manmohan Singh go ahead and do that? We'll follow the story. I thank all my guests. Our responsibility is to our viewers, and I hope the viewers appreciate we put the expose, we'll follow it through. Now the political parties will have to decide how to take this forward. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on debate number 1 on the Newshour Tonight.